canceled. My partner wasn't panicking, so I followed his most admirable example. I glanced back through the window where my wife, Leanne, was talking to the clerk about the Toomey bags. Naturally, we wouldn't be needing either Toomey or Samsonite. The world was coming to an end. "What about Syria?" I asked. "Yeah, well, the road from Lebanon into Syria is blocked with burning tires." "Seriously?" Again, that word. "So our meeting with Assad's government is now probably out of the question." "What about the West Bank? The Hamas?" "Yeah, crazy, huh? Same with the bin Laden brothers in Saudi Arabia. The whole region could erupt. This is big news." "What does Chris think?" Chris is Carl's Greek goddess, his marriage partner, who has given him 3 children and traveled the world at his side with superhuman grace. That's my take. "Yeah, she thinks the trip is dangerous." Now that I think about it, I did take notice of those early cues that traveling through the Middle East to ask never-before-asked questions of Islam's most influential ideologues and America's enemies was a misguided mission. In fact, I distinctly remember feeling buckets of sweet, cool relief washing over my body as Carl broke the news. The trip was off. I felt jovial. I was liberated from the fear that had nagged at me for many months as Carl slowly but surely put together this unprecedented trip. Honestly, I never really thought he'd pull it off. Without fail, my mention of the trip to publishers or people of influence would garner the same coy smile. "Yeah, good luck with that." Who'd ever heard of such a thing? I mean, it's one thing to sit in a coffee shop in downtown Denver and dream about the ultimate trip to the most dangerous parts of the world, but the list of people whom Carl wanted to meet amounted to a delusional dream, or a nightmare, depending on your perspective. Did I say delusional? Add impossible to that. No one from the State Department could get the meetings Carl was going after. In fact, no one but Carl Medearis could land them. But more on that later. As the months stretched into a year, and the appointments began falling into place, I tried to back out a dozen times. Finally, 2 days before we were scheduled to leave, God himself had reached down and mercifully rescued me from almost certain death, not to mention an overpriced luggage purchase. Being the puppy in tow of the great mastiff, I put on a brave face. "So what do we do?" I asked. "Well, we wait and see." "Wait for what?" "For things on the ground to change. Could all be fine tomorrow." I'm here to tell you that nothing was fine tomorrow. I'm still not sure what, besides foolishness, put me on a flight from Denver to Cairo 2 days later. And I'm even less sure of what absurd notions could possibly have persuaded me to board the first flight into Beirut 4 days later, following a week's upheaval that had sent souls far braver than me either running for cover or to their graves. Yet here I was, cranking open the vent over my head to dry the ribbons of sweat seeping from my forehead. Never mind that the cabin was already freezing. Samir Crady, the wealthy Muslim businessman in Saudi Arabia who'd helped to set up the trip, was returning to Beirut with us. Indeed, without his help, the trip would have been impossible. Many of the muftis and clerics we would meet agreed to do so only because of his unshakable reputation as a powerhouse of reconciliation. But Samir himself, only days earlier, had insisted the trip was now far too dangerous. Such is the Middle Eastern mindset. I suppose when you spend your life dodging bullets, the threat of a sniper on the corner doesn't keep you housebound for long. Better to run rather than walk, naturally, but you can't let dissenters with machine guns make you a prisoner in your own house.